How do we one another in homeschool? Come with me and find out. Hi, it's Amanda from Learning to Love Well, and that was a very awkward hi, by the way. Hi, let me try that again. Hi, it's Amanda from Learning to Love Well, and today I want to talk to you about homeschool. Now, I know we're in my bedroom, it's cold, it's dark, it's winter, and yeah, we just got done with hot cocoa and cookies at my grandma's house, and this is kind of a late video. But this is the video that I wanted to do this week, and I felt like I needed to do this week. So something that I've always heard a lot about, like you hear about curriculum, activities, extracurriculars, but have we ever talked about one anothering? Yes, like the Bible, one anothering. So when we one another, what does that mean? And what does that look like, especially in homeschool? Well, today I want to give you some ideas. Here in America, we are such a self-focused worldview. I mean, it's an individualistic society. And cross-cultural communication, which is one of the things I had to take in school, we learned about the different societies and how it really does depend on kind of the idea behind the society. So like in China, Japan, where it's more of a family-centered society, people tend to care a lot more because they don't want to bring shame to their family. Where here in America, it's more about bringing shame on ourselves and things like that. So how does that play out? Well, a lot of times in our education, we focus on pursuit, goals, talents, giftings, callings, all of these things. But a lot of times we don't focus on something called social intelligence. Now, if you don't know what social intelligence is, it's basically a fancy word for knowing how to communicate, or emotional intelligence, it could also be called, where you're able to communicate your emotions well, be able to receive emotions well, read emotions well. And a lot of this comes from having really good interpersonal understanding and communications and relationships. This is so important. In fact, some people actually argue that emotional intelligence is actually more important than having a high IQ. Why is this? Well, most jobs inquire for you to be able to interact with one another. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, because it is. But how do we build that? How do we build that into our homeschool? How do we take the commands of Christ literal, where we're teaching how to serve one another and how to even count others more significant than ourselves, like Philippians tells us? Well, I've got a couple ideas. So, idea number 1. Ready for it? Well, let's get into it. Okay, idea number 1 is find someone that you can help. If you have a widow in your family, or you have somebody in your family who could use the help, take a shortened homeschool day and go help them. This is such a great way. Or maybe even an elder at your church or something like that, where you guys can go over and help them. I'm not talking about just elder, but elderly in your church, someone that you can go and help. Encourage your kids to have maybe rake the leaves, or help them with yard work, or do something that encourages a other-centered homeschool. Number 2, get them involved in charity work. This can look like anything from packing boxes for the military to, I have a friend who gave me a link for, I will put it up here, and it is for a place for people who, hold on. So I had a girlfriend who was telling me about a charity group called United Way, and apparently they help in a couple of different ways, but for Christmas they do things like they help match up people with donations so that you can donate so that kids who wouldn't normally get Christmas can have it, and they even involve the parents by helping them wrap it. Or even like the Ronald McDonald House, there's places that you can volunteer. You can volunteer at a church for them to do something, some kind of work at the church. You could have them do any kind of community service. You could have them pack a shoebox for Samaritan's Purse around Christmas next year. You could have them run a fundraiser for Conway of Hope. There are so many ways to get your children children off of focus of just what they want and their needs, but also focus on the needs of others. And this is not only a beneficial psychologically for your children because it gives them the opportunity to view the world bigger than just their own little world and themselves, but it also gives us the opportunity to show our children tangible ways to love one another and to give that example, which I love, and it really does form more of a whole person in your children. Again, you can do it by helping someone who is in your family and helping them. Number 2, you can serve at a charity. Number 3 would be understanding and having prayer time for persecuted Christians. Now, if you're not familiar with places like VOM, which is Voice of the Martyrs, or Alliance Defending Freedom, they do have newsletters that they put out, which understanding the struggles that other people go through. Now, obviously, this needs to be screened before done because some of the stories can be harsh for younger audiences. We tend to tell it as it is, but everyone has their own way that they raise their kids. And this gives your children a really great way of seeing that just because we do it one way here in America doesn't mean that's the way it's going to be all around the world. Or in the case of Alliance Defending Freedom, seeing the struggles that people go through for their faith and allowing them to pray and allowing them to be a part of that community that is uplifting those that are going through things is absolutely wonderful. And it really does help them have a purpose that's just bigger than themselves because they're able to fulfill the commands about praying for our persecuted brothers and sisters in Scripture. So that is super cool. Number 4, family missions. When you make a mission in your family that is bigger than just the individual in your family, like, hey, in this house we want to be generous, or in this house we want to serve the Lord, in this house we want to put the priority of Scripture first, making it to where it's not just an individual, but having that family structure and those family mottos and those family rules and a family-centered idea of in this family we. Kind of comes from the idea of Joshua where he says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Sorry, again, heating pad cord. Just awkward little cord just sitting there. And when you do that and when you focus your kids around the idea of, hey, when you're out in public, you're representing our family. When you're out in public, if you're claiming Christ, you're an ambassador of Christ, you're representing Christians in general, it gives them a bigger purpose other than just themselves. And I think sometimes we miss those opportunities in homeschool. So one of the things that you could do is sit down and say, what do we want out of this homeschool? And what are we going to do in our family motto, in our homeschool model? What do we want to focus on? Who do we want to become? And how do we want to represent Christ to the world? With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Short and sweet is sometimes the best. All right. God bless. Have a great day.